for people watching who, like this woman you're talking about, so again, people either in a relationship currently with someone who's narcissistic, or perhaps they've had a pattern of relationships in their life, which was more my experience in the past before meeting my partner, Ike. I had a lot of, like recreating my father scenarios. So like, what suggestions do you have for those people who have recreated that pattern on how to stop doing that?
Okay. First of all, one of the things is to be able to look at that without making yourself damaged goods.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that somehow there's something really wrong with you, that you're doing this pattern where you're with someone who it seems wonderful and then it turns, or you kind of made do at sometimes, and then you wish you're stuck now. You know, and it was interesting what you said, you know, your father wound, you know, that was replaying. And that's why I often say to couples, let's look at 3 generations of your history. And of course, the losses come out. Oh, dad was, mom always played down to dad. No, she was, I think she was afraid of him. Or when he got upset, he drank a lot. Or he disappeared for 2 days. Or he had affairs. Or he hit mother, right? And we all kind of kept our head down. And my sister tried to stand up and she got hit. Mm-hmm. You know, these are the stories. So that first, it's getting aware that you have the pattern. And by looking at your family tree and your generational genogram, sometimes the right brain can, the left brain can start to think differently, and the prefrontal cortex can start to bring in the common sense. And also, if you do that genogram, look where the strengths were, because there was always strengths inside in the family. Maybe that mother or sister or grandmother actually was doing what she did in that culture and in that time to protect everybody as well as herself, because she didn't feel you couldn't go out to a shelter, and you couldn't phone up a counselor, or you didn't talk to your friends about it because you just kept it in. Mm-hmm. And if you have somebody like that in your family, then it's really, really important to go talk to them and ask them, this is happening in my life, Mom, and how have you got any advice for me? Because I don't understand why this pattern's going on all the time. What do you think? Or even a sister or a brother. You know, I've had couples where the woman has broken up in those situations, and the children have said, gosh, I wish you'd done that earlier.
Right.
However, because it would felt she tried, got help, did counseling, and at a certain point she goes, this is not healthy. But with this pattern, it's so easy to decide that it's something about you. Mm. Or to think, oh, that didn't work about that guy, but, you know, there was just this and this, and I'll make a better decision. So you need some help, whether it's a really good woman friend, even some good, healthy guys, or if you don't have much money, see if you can get very low cost counseling. You need help in how to think about it. And so I'm going to ask a personal question. How did you change it? You can say, oh, I got with, right? But something happened in you.
You know, it's funny because I was so not aware of any of it until I met my partner, Ike, and because he really opened me up to my patterns, to personal development, to psychology. This world was not a part of my life until I met him 10 years ago. So it's an interesting question. How did it, you know.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like my guess is, because I really don't have an exact answer or no, but is that I think I just reached a point of being so sick
There you are.
of that pattern, that cycle, that like not loving myself enough to attract someone that would return the love, and I feel like I just had enough. That's kind of how it occurs to me.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I see. Get to a point where I've had it. This is enough. I've tried hard enough. I'm not doing this. I'm a good person. I'm lovable, and I deserve better.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had a couple of marriages. One was only 1 year, and I've been with my wife Barbara for 34 years now.
Woohoo!
And I said to her, my stepdaughter, who's a lovely gal, I said, you know, your mother's really quite mean. And she said, what? My mother's not mean. She's very loving, which is true. And she said, she's very loving. How can you say something like that about my mother? I said, well, no, very, very mean. Yeah, absolutely, very mean. Oh, she said, you're just impossible. I said, well, you want to, well, I'll tell you, I said, in other relationships, at a certain point, I just felt like I'm not getting the love I want. And I've kind of asked, been angry, pleaded, approached, withdraw, try and language things differently, gone to counseling, all these things. And somehow didn't work, and I'd had it because I didn't feel loved. Now I said, your mother and I have done quite a bit of therapy, as you know. She said, yes. So I said, Adrian, the problem is, no matter how stressed we've been in our relationship together, and how at times I thought my wife is impossible, I don't currently. It's a very different stage.
Yeah.
I love it. This is really nice. So I said, and when I was sure that she was wrong, and she's just not understanding me. I always felt loved. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so no matter how wound up I was and in my difficult self, I still could not get away from the feeling that I was loved.
Mm.
I said, so in the other relationships, I lost the feeling I was loved. And then I left. But I never have not felt loved, even in the times that have been, of course, with every couple, there's ups and downs and so forth, and we've got a blended family, kids on each of the partners. It's complicated.
Right.
Plus, I work very hard, and so it's hard because I enjoy work, and so I don't spend as much time with Barbara as she would like, and of course these days as I would like to, and there's been physical changes. Barbara's post-concussion from a car accident for 3 years, and all these changes that happen in our lives, but I still always felt loved, even if I could be irritated and annoyed and sad and feel a little down, or you know what I mean, I think.
I do. Yeah. I mean, I think the beauty of when you do have a partnership where whether you're angry at one another or whatever, you're, that you're loved and you're committed in that relationship, then yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It can teach us so much about ourselves and about life and everything. And to have that companion, it's very important to me. So I mirror that for sure.
Well, I think both of us are modeling for whoever's listening, and I'm sure there's a lot, that our lives have not been perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We've been with partners that didn't work for us. In some cases, people that were, in my case, inflated with themselves. So I was on the other side, but I was somehow strong enough to, over time, to let that person go to someone else, because I wasn't being a good partner at that point either, because it just wasn't harmonious enough. There's always a window of tolerance, a range that, you know, we can operate in, all of us. And the stress gets too high, then our prefrontal cortex goes off, and we're just down in our limbic system, and we don't have our common sense. And if we really get scared, we get down in the survival area. So and then if we get too worn down, you know, we just don't have the core impulse in our body that brings us in and keeps us in relationship. So that's why I was thinking some of those psychomotor exercises, which come from European, Denmark, mind-body connection psychotherapy called body dynamic analysis. And if you wanted to know more about that, you could look at Body Dynamic USA, and they have some videos on there that can help you in terms of staying resourced yourself at any time, but certainly in more high stress situations like we're talking about at work and with your partner.